In this lesson, we're going to talk about intentional colors. When it comes to colors, different colors create different emotions. There are a lot of cues that we get from colors every day, and you probably don't even realize it. It's a huge psychology thing. There's a reason why most banks will have either blue or green in their brand. That's because blue and green tend to be colors that are associated with trust and stability. If you think about it, when it comes to your money, you want trust and stability. Another example can be seen with the color red, the classic power color. If you're interviewing for a job as an executive, one way you can potentially influence the way your interview goes is by wearing something that's red. Red is aggressive and powerful, so if that's the image you want to project, you might use that color to help you. It's a powerful visual cue. If you're sitting there saying, how come I'm not getting my ideal client? It may be because your colors are warning them off. Typically, when it comes to colors, women prefer tints. Tints are standard colors with white added to them. Men prefer shades, which are the opposite. Shades are standard colors with black added to them. The more black you add, the heavier the shade. The more white you add, the lighter the tint. Does this mean that if you're trying to attract women, you should only use tints? Of course not, but it would be nice to have at least one tint in your color palette. It's also important to note that you don't want to use all pastel colors or all dark colors. You'll need about 2 darker colors and 2 lighter colors. Think about the colors for your background and the colors for your text, and not just the body of your text, but the links as well. When you're using your colors, it is always best to research the kinds of emotions that you want to create in terms of color theory. My tip for this is to go on Pinterest and type in color theory branding or something of that nature and start playing around with them. I found that there's quite a few visuals on Pinterest that will explain all sorts of color theory. And remember, it's not about your favorite colors anymore. It's about your ideal client's favorite colors. So you sit down and say, this is my ideal client. These colors elicit the emotion I'm looking for. Does this make sense for my brand? By making those intentional choices, you're much more likely to attract those ideal customers or clients. There's also a fine line here. I know a lot of people who don't launch their website or brand because they don't know if their colors or logo are just right. This is not something to delay a launch over. Here's how I pick colors for a brand. I look into the feelings I want conveyed. If I'm trying to have a fun and creative brand, then I tend to use brighter colors like yellow and pink. If I'm trying to have a calm and trustworthy brand, then I go with blues and greens. Once I pick the 2 main colors, I pick 2 darker colors and 2 lighter colors in that general color family. If I'm targeting women, I use the lighter colors more often. If I'm targeting men, I use the darker colors more often. How do you come up with a palette? There's a fantastic tool called cooliers.co that can help. Once you have an idea, it's an awesome tool to play around with. And you can play around with your colors until you find something that works for you with your ideal client in mind.
So in this video, we're going to explore this really neat tool that I found. And basically it helps you come up with ideas for colors, and it lets you sort of take a look at things, and I think it's a really great site, especially when you're trying to figure out your branding. So if we go here and click Start the Generator, we get to open up the app. So there are a few things that we can do in this. We can sort of generate random color schemes. We can look at color palettes that have already been put together, and we can really start to mess with things. So to start, I'm going to go into Explore, and there's 3 different types. There's latest, picks, best, and you can also search. So I am going to say, okay, I really like this combination, for example. So I'm going to click View, and here you can see all the different colors. Now let's say, for example, I want to see what this color looks like in between these two. So maybe I don't love this color combination, but I really like this one and I really like this one. Rest of them, I'm not so sure about. Maybe this would look better in a different shade. So I can click on this, and what if I went down to that shade? A little too close, I think. Yeah, so maybe I don't like that. So I want to see what other colors we can come up with. So if I press my space bar, as you can see, it kept the two locked colors, but now it's showing you other colors. So what I like to do is go in and try to find a couple of colors that look pretty good to me. And then I just start playing around with it. And let's say I really like this one. Oh, this is really cool, but now I've decided I don't like this one. And as you can see, I can just keep going with this. And what's really neat is if you decide that, okay, this is my palette, but I want something that's geared more towards women, you can always go down and drop these colors lower. You can add more white. So maybe that initial color was a little too bright. So now you go in and you can edit them. And there you have it. There's a color scheme that we just came up with kind of on the fly. And now you can see all of the codes down here. Now, when you export it, there's a number of different ways that you can export it. I recommend, if this is something you're using for your branding, to do a PDF. And as you can see, it gives you your numbers here for your hex. It will also give you these other codes. So depending on what program you're using, most sites will use hex for internet sites. This is the internet speak pretty much. But if you're using other programs specifically with color editing, these ones down here at the bottom are a little more likely. If you're using Microsoft Office, I know oftentimes I'll have to put in the RGB code. So this is extremely helpful to have. And it will also give you the link. So if down the line you decide you don't like this particular color, for example, you can always go back into here. And there you have it. So this is where I tend to do all of my inspiration for color schemes. Sometimes it takes a little bit of playing around, but I really like this tool, especially where I can take a quick screenshot of this bottom area with the names, and I really like having the names because it's a lot easier for clients. And I will send this to a client that I'm working with on branding and say, what do you like, what don't you like? And then we kind of can take it from there.